My name is Jake Fiddler, writer and director of this audio drama. I am very excited to introduce to you, dear listener, a new world chock full of new stories and characters. This particular story revolves around a man named Milo, whose life has fallen apart due to alcoholism. However, there's more to his struggles than meets the eye. This story is part of a much larger one, an overarching narrative that I like to call In Dreams. The characters, events, and mechanics will be introduced in this story and will continue onward. Without further ado, welcome to In Dreams, The Night, starring Connor McBain as Milo, Shane R. Hillier as Jensen, Alessia Fionda as Sarah, and David Thompson as The Night. Narrated by myself, Jake Fiddler. Don't sleep. Don't dream. Enjoy. What are dreams, if not the mind within itself? Chapter 1. Within the white void that is the dreamscape of a broken soul's mind, a tulpa creature runs scared into a fabric wall. It screams as an attacker approaches. A lifeless creature on the floor at the feet of its attacker. Further into the dreamscape, sitting in an ambient white room, Milo Jack, a modest yet dirty-looking man, sits in a large brown recliner. His eyes are dormant and empty, emotionless. His cardigan stained with years of neglect to clean it, and his face is unshaven. A malevolent being in the form of a knight, with a flowing red cape and heavy chainmail, approaches the weak man. The knight's calm and confident eyes that hold evil secrets stares directly into the drooping eyes of Milo.
Lately, I've been reminiscing on the good old days. The days where you drink all day and go out.
The knight grins a most devious grin as he begins circling the recliner.
Sadly, those days are scarce. You used to be so cruel, such a drunken fool. It fed me like a king. But for the past few weeks, I've been starving. It's cruel to me, even. We were steady. Then, well... Do you remember what happened 2 weeks ago?
Milo hangs his head in shame.
Oh, come on now, Milo, old boy. Recollect. Remember. Do you? When you drank and drank and drank at the tavern, becoming intoxicated like a damn fool. And then to top it all off, you committed a terrible act of infidelity. Don't be ashamed, Milo, friend. I enjoyed that event very much. I was drowning in the substance that day, Milo. It was so wonderful.
The knight unclips a small black pouch from his belt and removes the small cap. He squirts a black goo onto the palm of his hand, and then he shoves it into his mouth, consuming it. Total ecstasy overtakes him, his eyes rolling to the back of his head. Once his orgasmic episode ends, his face drops to an almost sinister and angry shape.
This is all I have rationed left. You know I need more, Milo. Oh, dear Milo. You've been trying to get away from me. You know I need you to provide the substance, and you've been trying to sober yourself up. We can't have that, can we?
The knight leans down, getting in Milo's face, and from his belt, he unsheaths a small jackknife. In the dark bedroom, barely illuminated by the light of a street lamp creeping through the window, Milo startles awake. A large gash begins creeping across the bridge of his nose, blood beginning to gush down his face. He screams in pain, writhing in the once white sheets, startling the woman next to him awake. Chapter 2. Milo sits uncomfortably in a therapist's chair, a dirty bandage across his nose, the same stained cardigan covering his body. Across the room, a well-dressed man named Dr. Philip Jensen sits cross-legged in a stiff wooden chair. He occasionally pushes his round glasses up his nose, scribbling on a notepad attached to a clipboard.
And you woke up with a gash on your nose.
I know it doesn't make any sense. There's no other logical explanation, though. But I truly believe that what happened in my dream, it happened in real life, too.
Perhaps you moved around too much while you slept and happened to cut it on something that night.
Maybe, I'm not sure. Whatever the explanation is, I'm not sure if I can sleep anymore. I'm tired, but I'm way too scared to sleep.
Jensen flips the notepad onto the clipboard, scribbling on a piece of paper before ripping it from the pad and handing it to Milo.
It's a prescription medication. It's usually used to stop people from waking up from their sleep. But it has also been used to get rid of dreams completely. All you have to do is take one pill every morning and night.
Milo looks at the piece of paper. It reads, Somnizin. Nighttime. The moon's light is bright and full, but cannot creep into the small, cramped living room through the closed blinds. The room is only illuminated by dancing shadows across the walls from the television, playing loud action movies. Milo sits in his recliner, a small throw blanket strewn across his lap, covering his dirty, blood-stained sweater. In his left hand, he holds the bottle of Somnizin pills. He opens the bottle, sniffing the opening and gagging, throwing the pills into the corner of the room. He closes his eyes, leaning back, and letting the sounds of the television fade away as he succumbs to his exhaustion. Daylight. The morning sun creeps through the bent and broken blinds, filling the small room with crooked lines of orange light. A beam of light touches Milo's sleeping face, as he groggily flutters his eyes open. He smacks his lips, shifting in his chair, feeling a cold glass sensation in his right hand. He peers down to find an open bottle of beer, tightly gripped in his fist. He drops it, letting it fall to the floor, spilling. In a panic, he examines the room for intruders, only to find the bottle of pills sitting on the small lamp table next to his chair, and a note reading, No, no, no. Chapter 3. Milo once again finds himself strewn across the therapist's couch, a little more relaxed and comfortable, given he's had a full night's rest at last, regardless of the surprise he woke up to. Jensen, who's sitting in the same stiff chair across the room, wears a stylish cardigan making Milo's old stained sweater look bum.
So you didn't take the pills last night?
Right, but I didn't have any dreams. I woke up and there was a damn full bottle of beer in my hand.
Jensen scribbles on a piece of paper attached to the clipboard on his lap.
Can I be completely honest with you, Doc? And it may sound a little crazy.
Of course, that's why I'm here.
I think the night might be real. Like, maybe he's someone in my dreams, but you know how dreams often reflect our daily lives? Maybe something like that.
Here's what I think. You're right. I think the night very much is a reflection of your life. Not someone, but something. I think a very important thing in your life is to confront your fears, and your biggest fear is letting go of your addiction to alcohol. I think you need to face your fears and let go.
But how do I do this? I mean, I haven't had a drink in over 2 weeks, yet these dreams are still reoccurring.
Try the pills and keep up with the abstinence. I know for a fact that these pills will work, Milo. You can face your fears. You can get over this.
Milo takes the bottle of pills from his pocket and fiddles them between his fingers.
One every morning and one every night. And it'll get rid of my dreams.
That's right. And the pesky night will be gone for good.
The dim light from the small lamp illuminates the cramped bedroom where Milo lies under his yellowed and stained sheets. He sits up, holding the bottle of pills in his hand. He opens the bottle, shaking one into the palm of his hand. The pill is small, one half red, the other blue, with a strange inscription printed on the side. He pops it into his mouth, washing it down with a glass of water. He sets the glass of water and the bottle onto his nightstand before flicking the lamp off and lying on his side, closing his eyes and drifting off. Chapter 4. Stumbling through the back door, a drunk, young, and confident Milo enters the kitchen.
Babe, I'm home.
In the living room, the lights from the television turn off, and in storms Sarah Benson, a 5'0", messy blonde bun woman with fiery eyes that pierce through Milo with the heat of 1,000 suns.
Where the fuck have you been?
I was just out at Lenny's with the boys.
Out with the boys, huh? Is that really what you were doing?
His eyes dart to the floor, shrugging. Sarah pulls her phone from her pocket, pulling up a picture and shoving it in his face. The picture is taken from across a bar. He's kissing another woman, practically making love to her.
Who is she, Milo?
She's just a friend.
Just a friend, my ass. Friends don't stick their tongues down each other's throats.
Can you really blame me?
Milo pushes past her, going to the fridge and cracking open a bottle of beer, chugging it down.
What is that supposed to mean?
You're always bitching at me to do this and that. She never does anything like that. You can't blame me for going out and messing around.
Oh no, don't you dare do that. Don't put the blame on me for you fucking cheating.
Milo rolls his eyes, pushing past her to leave the room, but is stopped when she grabs his arm. He swiftly turns, smacking her across the face with a backhand.
Don't ever fucking touch me like that again.
Her cheek begins to bleed as Milo's eyes burn with hatred, staring into hers. She rushes out of the kitchen, tears rolling down her cheeks as Milo downs the rest of his beer, then grabs another, cracking it open. Before he can bring the bottle to his mouth, Sarah rushes back into the room with the packed suitcase.
Where the fuck do you think you're going?
Going to my mom's. You don't want me here.
You can't leave.
I'll come back when you're sober.
Milo sits in his big recliner in the middle of the white dreamscape, the night standing in front of him, his arms crossed. The night bends down, staring Milo deep into his eyes, a dark look in his face.
Oh, Milo, you're too important for me, I'll admit. I cannot kill you, not yet at least. But mark my words, if you prove to be unnecessary, I shall.
Milo tries to open his mouth to speak, but nothing can come out.
Go back to the alcohol. You know we both need it.
An anxious Milo paces across his dining room, holding his cell phone to his face.
I took the pills. They didn't work.
You only took them once. They won't work until you take them after a couple of days.
I don't have a couple of days. I'm going insane. I'm going to die. Do you understand me?
Milo throws his phone across the room at the wall, shattering it. Jensen, sitting at his desk, looks at his phone, which is now disconnected from the call.
Milo?
He sets down his phone, pulling a paper from his notepad and scribbling, "Suicide Watch." In a rage, Milo throws his chair across the room, breaking it against the wall.
I know you can hear me, motherfucker. If you want me to sleep, I won't. I won't sleep. You can't touch me. You can't hurt me if I'm awake.
Chapter 5. 42 Hours Without Sleep. Blank white curtains cover the freezing cold water running over Milo. Although it hurts, it keeps him awake. On the sink next to the shower, a stained coffee mug sits half-drank. Milo reaches out from the curtains and grabs the mug, guzzling it down and setting it back on the sink. The sounds of explosions fill the room as Milo has the television volume turned up. The action movies aren't enough, however, as Milo, who's now sitting in his recliner, is way too comfortable for his own good. His eyes are droopy, and he's falling asleep. He slaps himself across the face to wake himself up and turns the volume on the television all the way up. The bright lights on the TV and the loud sounds seem to fade away as his eyes slowly shut, despite his efforts to stay awake. Suddenly, his eyes burst open, but he's not able to move. He's stuck. He's paralyzed. He can only move his eyes to peer around the room. He looks at the television as it seemingly shuts off, leaving a black mirror. And in the mirror behind Milo, a figure, a familiar figure. Milo peers down at his legs as his pant leg folds up to his knee. He watches in frozen horror as his skin peels away from his ankle to his knee, bleeding horribly. Milo cannot move. He can only wince, trying to scream. The blood that has poured down his leg has since dried as the hours have passed. Milo, still frozen, sits in the morning sunlight creeping through the blinds. He finally jolts awake, falling to the floor, holding his leg. The hardened flap of skin covered in dried blood hangs from the wound as he cries on the floor. Once again, Milo's freezing attempt to stay awake is covered by the blank curtains. Milo's curled up on the shower floor, trying to stay awake, trying to clean his wound. Blood streams down the drain. Chapter 6. 168 hours without sleep. The orange light of the setting sun makes the small room glow, casting beams of warmth on Milo. Milo sits far too comfortably in his recliner, staring at the blank wall above the television. The only sound of the ticking of the clock in the other room is rudely interrupted by the 3 harsh knocks on the back door. Milo stands slowly, his muscles aching. He waddles to the door, covered in his throw blanket, opening the door. It's Jensen standing in the doorway, adjusting his glasses.
Doc, what are you doing here?
I thought I'd come by to check up on you. Last time we spoke, you didn't seem sound of mind.
Oh, well, I'm okay.
Milo tries to shut him out, but Jensen shoves his foot in the door.
Milo, you don't look good. What's going on?
He steps through the door, into the small kitchen, face to face with Milo.
Have you slept at all?
No, not really.
And what happened to your leg?
The night didn't.
The night, Milo.
Doc, if you came here just to tell me I'm delusional again, then just leave.
Have you been taking the Samazin?
No, I told you. Last time I took them, the nightmares were worse.
They don't work right away. You have to...
Just leave. Seriously, get out. This is all your fault.
Milo, please, just...
No! Those pills you prescribed me made things worse. This wound is because the pills that you gave me let the night get me. It's all your fault.
In a rush of rage, Milo shoves Jensen, knocking his glasses right off his face.
Doc, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that.
He immediately retracts, realizing what he's done, feeling guilt rush over him. Jensen brushes himself off, picking up his glasses.
I'm worried about you. I just want you to be safe. In fact, I'm breaking rules just to be here, Milo. But you have to help yourself first. I'm done.
Jensen storms out of the back door, leaving Milo alone in the kitchen, ashamed, hurt. A childlike heaving and crying comes from within the cold shower. Suddenly, the curtains burst open and Milo, freezing, wet, and fully clothed, rushes to the toilet, throwing up through tears. A door opens, letting light flood into the nicely organized office. Jensen storms in, frustrated and mumbling to himself. He rushes to his desk, flops down onto his seat, and picks up his phone, dialing a number and pressing it to his face.
Yeah, hey, John. Yeah, I don't know what to do. I went to his house and he punched me in the face. Yeah, he's completely delusional. But he's not showing any real signs of psychosis or anything. Yeah, I'll talk to you later. Thanks, John.
Jensen slowly sets his phone on the receiver, leaning back in his chair. Suddenly, the light in the hallway shuts off, leaving the man in complete darkness. He stands from his chair, walking to the doorway. Before he can exit the room, he hears a metallic sound from inside the office. He quickly switches the light on in the hallway, the office becoming visible again. He lets out a sigh before turning to the exit. But he's face to face with the night. The blade of a sharp sword is driven into Jensen's stomach, and the knight grabs his shirt, pulling him close, speaking into his ear.
Stop trying to help Milo, good doctor. He's mine, and I need him.
Who are you?
The knight looks Jensen directly into the eyes. A burning hatred, yet a smirk of deviousness begins spreading across his face. Jensen bolts awake, lifting his face from his desk. He's alone in the dark office, the only light creeping from the hallway through the cracked door. He feels his chest. No wound. He pushes the chair away, standing up and turning on the light in the office. He's alone. He looks back at the desk, noticing an old piece of parchment paper. It reads, "Don't help Milo." He picks it up, reading it carefully. The doctor's alone in the office, but not truly alone. Chapter 7. 264 Hours Without Sleep. A pale, exhausted, weak, and very sick Milo sits in his recliner. His head is leaned back. The only thing keeping him awake is the strobing light from the television. His breathing is labored, but he breathes deep. The back door opens and closes. Milo hears footsteps walk from the kitchen to the living room. He turns off the television and recognizes the familiar reflection of a caped man in armor.
You're so pathetic. Have you even moved?
No. I haven't left my house at all since I last saw you. How long has it been?
Nobody moves. It's simply a war of words.
3 months, Milo. I haven't heard from you in 3 months.
3 months. It's been 3 months since I've heard from you. As a matter of fact, I wish it were 3 years, maybe even never.
Milo weakly stands, letting his blanket fall to the floor. He moves around the chair, looking at the knight, who's hidden in the shadows cast by the setting sun.
I was hoping I'd never hear from you again.
As Milo begins stepping closer, the knight begins backing away, more into the shadows.
These past few months, did you say, have been the absolute best? I've been a piece away from you, and losing a wink of sleep was well worth it.
You're just a coward, Milo. And I hope you drop dead.
Oh yeah, you want me to drop dead? Well, guess what, fucker?
Milo charges the knight, wrapping his fingers around the armored man's throat. The knight tries to fight back, pushing him away, but this fuels Milo's adrenaline, his grip becoming stronger. The knight lays a quick kick into Milo's groin, causing him to step back against the counter. As he catches himself, he feels the cold metal blade of a knife. The knight lets out a cough, catching his breath.
You really are the scum of humanity.
Milo's rage takes over as he takes the knife and drives the blade in the knight's neck. Blood squirts onto the wall, onto Milo, and begins dripping down the body. Milo takes the knife out, watching the body fall to the floor. Milo sees red as he straddles the armored man's body, brutally shoving the knife into his chest, letting the blood splatter everywhere. After a long time of brutal stabbing, he steps back and realizes something horrible. It's Sarah. He drops the knife, letting it clatter to the floor. He backs up to the wall, blinking confused tears from his eyes. The pool of blood reaches his feet, covering the bottom of his socks in blood.
No, Sarah, get up, come on, no, Sarah, please. Just get up, Sarah, fuck. Just get up, Sarah, fuck, no, come on, please. You fucking did this, you fucking pathetic fucker, fuck! You fucking fuck, Sarah, get up, please, no. You fucking did this, you fucking pathetic fucker, fuck!
After hours of crying, the sun has disappeared below the horizon. Milo lies next to the mutilated body of his ex. He sits up, gazing at her face. Her mouth is agape, her eyes permanently burst open, and blood is dripping from every orifice. He tries to cry, but he cannot anymore. He darts his eyes to the counter where the bottle of Somnizin sits. He reaches out, grabbing it. He dumps a handful into his palm, taking a deep breath and shoving his palm to his mouth, painfully swallowing. He lies back down, closing his eyes. Hours have passed. Milo is motionless, asleep. But inside his body, something is happening. His eyes burst open, but he cannot move. His body begins convulsing, and his mouth begins foaming. After a moment of twitching chaos, he lies motionless, paralyzed. The bloodied corpse now lies next to the foamy-mouthed man. Milo, now healed and completely healthy, stands in the middle of a washed-out white room. He looks around confused on how and when he's arrived. The knight is standing away from him, across the large room, his hands folded behind his back, and a cocky smile across his face.
Milo, old boy, you've really done it now.
What's going on?
Do you have any idea what you've done?
The knight takes a step forward, but Milo keeps his distance.
I don't know. What's going on here? Come on.
You did it. You finally committed the ultimate act that will keep me fed and dependent for ages. You cut Sarah down in cold blood.
As the knight begins pacing around Milo, he takes his pouch from his belt and squirts black goo onto his hand, shoving it in his mouth.
I murdered Sarah? But I thought that was...
Me? You thought you defeated me? I tricked you, Milo. You walked right into my long con. Everything was orchestrated by me. The nightmares, the hallucinations, everything. It was all me.
Wait, but I took all the pills.
The knight's demeanor shifts, becoming dark and serious.
You have a choice now. You can die at my hands, or you can fight your way out.
As the knight begins stepping closer, Milo backs up against the wall, but instead of a solid wall, it's a fabric sheet. The knight pulls a dagger from his sheath on his belt and tosses it to Milo's feet. Milo hesitates to pick it up, but does. The knight pulls his sword from the sheath and charges Milo. Milo ducks as the sword is swung at his head, but barely missing his neck. Milo pushes through the sheet wall, rushing into a new room. He's lost the knight for now. In the middle of the room, lying on the floor, is a bloody, deceased creature. As he begins walking away from it, a bright light blinds him for a moment and then disappears. He gathers his composure as he hears the knight laughing and approaching fast. He pushes through the wall again, losing him. In this new room, a man sits on the opposite end. The man wears a black tuxedo, but a golden orb replaces where his head should be.
Milo, destroy the heart! You have to destroy the heart!
Milo rushes past the strange being through the wall once again. He enters a new room where instead of white sheet walls, there's stone. On the opposite wall, a fleshy mass is stuck to the brick, pulsating and moving. He walks to the mass, taking out the dagger and pondering whether to destroy whatever it is. He raises the dagger. Suddenly, the white sheet wall where Milo entered rips down and the knight enters with a crazed, evil smile.
I'm done with your shit. You're going to die right here.
Before Milo or the knight can make a move, the floor disappears and Milo falls into a black void. He falls and falls and falls, seeing no bottom in sight. The knight fades away from view, as well as this insane laugh. Milo continues to fall, not feeling afraid, but comfortable, letting the weightlessness wash over him. He falls and falls and falls. Forever, Milo can sleep.
That's the thing to do.
In Dreams, The Night. Written, directed, edited, and narrated by Jake Fiddler. Starring Connor McBain as Milo, David Thompson as The Knight, Shane R. Hillier as Jensen, and Alessia Fiona as Sarah. This has been a Forest Edge production. Thank you for listening.